A gas-powered leaf blower buzzing away for an hour creates as much air pollution as driving your car from Los Angeles to Denver, so it's little surprise state legislators passed a law this year forcing a transition to electricity for the devices, as well as for lawnmowers, edgers, pressure washers. In fact, such small gas-powered equipment this year surpassed passenger cars in the amount smog-forming emissions created in California, and would create twice as much by 2031. As the state weans itself off gas-powered vehicles, according to the California Air Resources Board. Because these power. But if you think the new regulation will be put in place without a fight, think again. The recommendation before the Air Resources Board calls for new sales of most of small, gas-powered equipment to be zero emission by 2024. But landscape maintenance companies argue that the expense of buying the new gear could put smaller operators out of business. They're also calling for a longer timeline for the transition because current zero-emission technology is not as efficient as gas and battery life is too short. Anyone that has used an electric blower knows that it requires multiple batteries just to do one house, said John McCabe, owner of McCabe. They use a lot of electric power. Each battery is in excess of $100. So if a small company is doing 20 houses a day, you will need $2,000 for each worker on the crew. The crackdown on small-powered equipment is one of 3 upcoming changes backed by clean air advocates. The board also is expected to vote at its December meeting on an elaborate smog check system for heavy-duty trucks, which currently are not required to get smog tests. Although the big rigs are only 3% of vehicle traffic in the state, they produce more than half of the smog and soot emissions, according to board data. This is the big enchilada, said Bill McGivern of the Coalition for Clean Air. This would be the biggest reduction of emissions in 12 years. The third measure under board consideration would create new rules for commercial harbor craft, including commercial sport fishing and whale-watching boats, tugboats, ferries and barges. The board held a public hearing on the issue November 19 and is expected to vote early next year on a measure phasing in engines that pollute less. Southern California has long had the worst air quality in the country despite the state boasting the nation's most extensive emissions regulations.